Welcome to the broadcast, my dear, dear fruits. I was going to come to you in more sombre colours today, which might have looked a little bit more respectful, but as I was getting ready I thought, no, I'm going to give it the full princess pizzazz, just as Catherine would want me to do, and in the colour green for hope. I actually picked up this charming Frank Usher vintage gown from a vintage shop yesterday. I got quite a haul actually, and I didn't think I'd be wearing it so soon. But it feels right to come to you in the spirit of optimism, and I would like the comment section optimistic rather than full of catastrophizing, if I might request that humbly. And I'm coming to you in an impromptu fashion. I'm just going to cobble this together because I know that some of you have already been asking me to come and share my thoughts with you, as I will do, and make sense of this initial shock that I'm sure we are all experiencing in one way or the other. I'm going to read Catherine's statement in full now. If you've already seen the video, I'm sure you have, you can skip ahead maybe 2 or 3 minutes to the next section, but it was filmed by BBC Studios, and I don't know what the copyright implications would be if I were to run the whole thing, so I'm not going to do that. I shall read it. I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I have been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It's taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it's taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that is appropriate for them, and to reassure them that I am going to be okay. As I have said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Oh dear, this isn't very royal, is it? Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you will understand that as a family we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able, but for now I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone. And wasn't it shocking and poignant to see the slender figure of our fair princess on that bench in the garden after 2 months, of relentless bullying, trolling, and on a level that has scarce been seen before, if ever, the hounding of that woman, completely undeserved. And already it's been breaking the internet, sadly not in the way that we had hoped or anticipated. And now we know the recent turn of events. The Princess of Wales, our beloved Catherine, is having treatment for cancer. This is a course, as she said, of preventative chemotherapy, and she's focused on a full recovery, Perhaps those that have been scolding Prince William for skipping recent events, such as the Thanksgiving service, that one event that he skipped, might have a better understanding now of exactly what his priorities were at the time. As I told you, if he was to miss such an event, there was a good reason for it. And that event took place on the 29th of February, which is just about exactly the time when the landscape changed for Catherine, and she was being informed of news, unwelcome news, that had not been previously anticipated. Exactly at that time. So what was William doing? The cruel, abusive husband of folklore and of Twitterati trolls and mean-spirited gossips. What was he doing? He was at his wife's side, probably having a good old sob with her and wondering how they're going to get through the next few months and tell the children of what's been going on. All this time under the most hideous pressure from press, from fans and trolls and admirers alike. This doesn't only come from trolls, by the way. The insane gossip about this. Even I had texts coming through from people who I thought might know better about what's going on with this, what's going on with that, where's Kate? You know, all people who like and love her, when the obvious answer was clear to all sober-thinking people. Nothing was going on other than the fact she was convalescing and had private issues to deal with. Even Catherine didn't know what was going on fully until after her tests came back to her. So how is she supposed to let the world know what's going on, or let her know, everybody know that she had cancer, when she didn't even know herself until some weeks ago? And then she wasn't even allowed to get to grips with that news herself for a little while before her children even found out. I don't know how the world is ever going to wriggle itself out of this mess. I don't think there's going to be any kind of reckoning. I'm afraid to say, I'm sad to say, but William has been a sterling husband, and that man has had quite enough to deal with throughout his entire life after the loss of his mother and his brother turning against him in the most despicable way, and he's been sending his thoughts to Kate along with Meghan. There's a lot I'd like to say about that as well, but it doesn't seem especially royal to say it on today of all days. But what that family's going through and has been going through, on top of what Harry's put them through, is hard to come to terms with, because his father is also suffering at the moment as well. William's got the weight of the world on those broad shoulders. It's lucky they are so broad and that he is an actual man that can deal with the complexity of the issues he faces. As a child that lost his mother, will be eternally grieving, but has come to terms with his mourning and his bereavement, and has the weight of the world as a future king on his shoulders. That huge burden, as well as all his family illnesses and being a dad. Catherine had to heal from serious abdominal surgery before the treatment could begin. Yes, this was filmed on Wednesday at Windsor. What day is it today? It's Friday, isn't it? So a couple of days ago at Windsor. And I've already had one distasteful comment popping up. Somebody asking if it was an accident that Kate used the universal sign for help in the video when she was talking about her cancer. Just saying, says this commenter. Just saying. And apparently this universal sign for help is something you do with you grab your thumb in the palm of your hand, and it signals that there's violence at home. This signal, which I'm sure is a wonderful invention, but as I told this commenter, and I'm sorry, my dear, perhaps you've been a fantastic basketeer for a long time, but just so you know, this kind of comment is not welcome here, and in fact I find it extremely distasteful. This was within a few minutes of the video going out. Someone was looking for signs that Catherine's suffering abuse at the hands of William and trying to send us a message because her thumb was wrapped in her palm. I mean, these are the kind of people that we're dealing with. I'm sorry to cast aspersions, my dear, but your comment does not speak very well in your favour if that is how you're approaching life. No one in their right mind thinks that William is abusing Catherine in any way, and sending out these sort of messages and asking these sort of questions isn't in any way good form or life enhancing. Sandy Nola says, news of Catherine's cancer diagnosis has left me feeling weak in the knees. The press, not only in Britain but around the world, have been ruthless to the point of recklessness. Her children do not in any circumstances need to hear the negativity and accusations against their mum. How cruel and misinformed they are. The media never shows any patience for this family. William and Camilla carry on as best they can, yes they do, smiling always in the face of both these diagnoses. Yes, think about this. Think about what you've seen the last few weeks. Now you know what's been going on behind the scenes, how Camilla and William have been performing with aplomb, absolute aplomb. What the poor girl has had to go through has probably been very difficult. Anyone facing a serious illness has to go through stages of acceptance which can be overwhelming. Please, in good conscience, leave these people alone and let them heal. My understanding is that Catherine chose to make this announcement after the children broke up for their school Easter holidays and could be sheltered from the public reaction at home. So all of this was taken into account. The children's feelings come first, rather than what the public feel that they are owed, and what royal fans feel that they are owed, and what rude trolls feel that they are owed. The children are the priority. Exactly as it should be. This is not just royalty, it is a royal family. They are the royal family. Kensington Palace are not sharing the type of cancer or the stage at which it was found, citing Catherine's right to medical privacy. And at the time, you might remember, a non-cancerous condition was specified by Kensington Palace. It was only in the post-operative tests that the cancer was identified, she tells us, like the King, wasn't it? I think that was the same way with the King. So again, that in particular is a cause for our gratitude, I would say, if the cancer would not have been discovered as early had there not been another preliminary procedure. So let's bear that in mind, because some of these things go under the radar in a very sinister way. Preventative chemo began in late February, yes. And the spokesman for Kensington Palace says the princess is now on a recovery pathway, having commenced a course of preventative chemotherapy, and added that she had wanted to share the information when she and the prince felt it was the right time for them as a family, or felt it was right for them as a family. My understanding is also that the family will not be attending church at Easter, as I had intimated that they might do. I had heard whispers that that is what they were hoping for, but that was a few weeks ago, and since then the landscape has obviously changed. So my understanding is that sadly that will not be happening. Kensington Palace said the princess will return to official duties when she has clearance from her medical team. She is in good spirits and is focused on making a full recovery. The prince will continue to balance supporting his wife and family and maintaining his official duties, as he has done since the start of the year. And when they were asked, Kensington Palace responded to say that they will not be sharing any further private medical information. The princess has a right to medical privacy, as we all do. A spokesman for the king said that he is so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. And they said the king has remained in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the past weeks. Yes, it's the return of that wonderful moniker, his beloved daughter-in-law, just to differentiate. Both the king and the queen will continue to offer their love and support to the whole family through this difficult time. It was Sophie Raworth who started the BBC News this evening, at the news at 6, by making this announcement that the Princess of Wales is undergoing treatment for cancer. That's how it broke, and she wore navy blue with black shoes. then she introduced the message. Meanwhile, the likes of Omid Scobie, and this really doesn't speak to the character of the man, I'm afraid, had received, along with every other journalist in the land, an embargoed statement. So people knew that this announcement was forthcoming. And he decided to plaster his social media, apparently, with an alarm clock, basically saying, set your alarm for 6 p.m, something's coming up. And he's being roundly criticised for being so distasteful. But that shows you what we're dealing with. That shows you. The Prime Minister has sent love and support. The Prime Minister sent love and support on behalf of the whole country and praised Catherine's tremendous bravery. He said, in recent weeks she's been subjected to intense scrutiny and has been unfairly treated by certain sections of the media. When it comes to matters of health, like everyone else, she must be afforded the privacy to focus on her treatment and be with her loving family. And President Biden sent well wishes. His spokesperson said that he is incredibly sad to hear the news. The Archbishop of Canterbury said, my prayers are with the Princess of Wales, the Prince of Wales and their children at this tremendously difficult time. I join the whole country and the world in praying for her full recovery. I take this opportunity to praise her for her spirit of optimism in the face of such difficult news, and am pleased to hear that she is feeling stronger every day. Her bravery in sharing in this way and her continued commitment to supporting others speaks to her compassion and her sense of service. Please join with me in praying for the royal family as they deal with this private matter, and I would urge people to respect their privacy at this time. Catherine's brother, James, said, over the years we have climbed many mountains together. As a family, we will climb this one with you too. Nicole Gutsy says, River, today's video from the Princess of Wales had me in tears. We love her here in America. My heart just breaks for what she's been put through. We are praying for her full recovery and also praying that she will finally be given some peace and time to heal. The entire world is praying for her. There is so much power in that. God bless the Wales family. The USA loves you. Rosalinda 305 says, I don't often shed tears for people I don't know, but cried at the thought of what poor William is going through. May God grant Kate a swift and full recovery. Annie K. Tangolini says, Dearest River, I joined your group of fruity delights some years ago. My husband was just diagnosed in January with stage 3 colon cancer. We are 62 years old and have been married for 24 years. I'm very scared. We have no children and all of my family is dead. John is not only my husband but my best friend. After a brutal day of dealing with the horrors, I look forward to tuning into your fabulous show. I'm delighted and honoured to hear that you do so, my dear. No matter what you're discussing, I could watch you all day. I giggle and love listening to your King's English, I believe. Well, I'm glad that I can provide some light relief, some comic relief for you, my dear. And I have, every week, I get so many comments from people of all generations, all genders, both of them, and all different types of fruit in the basket, my dear, who are undergoing these sufferings, who have family affected by cancer and all kinds of illnesses and suffering. There really is so much suffering out there that it's hard to think about sometimes, isn't it? And many of us are going through the gigs in our own ways. So anything I say in response to that is only a platitude of sorts, but it's worth reiterating that when things get murky and gritty and you feel scared and everything feels dark, I have found in my moments of despair, not equating them with what you're going through at the moment, but I have found that there are treasures buried in that sand, in the murky dark depths. There are treasures and jewels, metaphorically, that are more precious than the other kind that you can retrieve and bring back with you if you take the time to notice them. As I'm sure that you do anyway, judging by what you've written. It sounds like you've got that sort of character, and probably already the sort of character that understands having gratitude in the moment for what we have. And all I can say is that I hope you do know, as Catherine says, that you are not alone. Illness and cancer, this kind of thing, is the great evener, isn't it? It doesn't matter where you are in society. It doesn't matter if you are the most fabulous princess in the world. One can still be affected and still go through it and still feel just as scared, even when you're not alone, even when you're surrounded by loving family as well. People can feel just as alone. It's why it's worth taking the time to build a spiritual relationship with yourself. And I'm not preaching a religious relationship with yourself or with your God here, by the way. Taking the time to develop a strong sense of self in silence, even if just communing with your own godliness that comes from within you, whatever created you. It's worth doing, because it sometimes helps to provide succor in some small way. But we all suffer. It's how we suffer that separates the wheat from the chaff. Elizabeth Anderson says, all my prayers for the Princess of Wales, her beloved husband and children, and of course the King and his beloved Camilla. Let us remain positive. I agree. Without the Pollyanna effect, I don't think that any of us need to wander around with beaming smiles saying everything's got to be fine. This is not the kind of optimism that I personally favour, but I do absolutely agree with you that remaining positive is far preferable to the other, catastrophizing, going to the worst possible outcomes and dwelling on that too much, and even worrying about, I know I'm going to get so many comments about, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that, I'm worried about you, I'm worried about the princess. I understand it's natural, but as I've told you before, it's not something I encourage people to have it dwelling in that spirits, the fretting and the worrying, once you've allowed yourself to feel it initially. Simply because it doesn't help and it's not constructive to anybody. Sorry, I interrupted your comment. Let us all pray that the Lord will give them strength, hope, and successful recoveries. Much love to you, River. Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth, my dear. And yes, for those of you that do pray, and I do pray a lot, on a daily basis, many times. Life is a prayer in many ways for me, but for those of you who pray, you know that it's a grounding experience, and it does help bring clarity to many situations. Not even always immediately, but drip by drip, drop by drop. And the message from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex apparently reads, we wish health and healing for Kate, can't bring themselves to say the Princess of Wales, and the family, and hope they are able to do so privately and in peace. Oh dear, you couldn't make it up, could you? Privately and in peace. We hoped that they were able to do many things privately and in peace, but you put a stop to that, didn't you, over the last few years? You put a stop to that, adding and piling on the stress for Philip, for Elizabeth, for Charles, for all of them, for William, Camilla and Catherine, piling on the stress, heaping it onto them, as if they haven't got enough to deal with. Jill Biden said, you are brave and we love you, Jill. And Justin Trudeau said, my thoughts are with the Princess of Wales, her children and the entire royal family, following the news of her cancer so courageously shared. On behalf of all Canadians, I'm sending my support as she undergoes treatment. We're all wishing her a swift recovery. And thank you to Alice Bourne, who said that she sent me a little tip jar treat to buy yourself an espresso martini after the sad news about Princess Catherine. I do love an espresso martini, not that I can drink one at the moment, but I will save for a later occasion. Thank you, my dear. And also Ian Sarginson, who sent a little something towards a pain au chocolat. Oh, that would be gorgeous. a pain au chocolat from your Welsh fruities. Thank you, my dear, and to anybody else who sent something sweet. You are very sweet and very fruity, and I thank you for your presence here. As I say, this was an impromptu broadcast. I wasn't expecting to be here in emerald green, Frank Usher vintage and dripping to come to you, but here I am, and here we are. And if I sound rather subdued, it's not just the emotion of the piece, it's also because it's rather late here and I'm being respectful of others as well. So I'm absolutely fine. It's not me that we need to worry about, is it? It's also not Catherine that we need to worry about. It's Catherine that we need to send our positive good wishes to, our optimism, and keep her in our prayers, as well as the rest of the family. Oh, William. You know, it's hard to imagine what he's facing behind the scenes, isn't it? It really is. It really makes us all think, and I think the whole affair is just going to make the world fall even more in love with the Wales family. So, you know, let's not look at the fuzzy end of the lollipop. Let's think about what good stuff might be going on. And I look forward to seeing you in the next broadcast, my dear. I hope that whatever gigs you're going through, you know that you are not alone, as Catherine said. And I hope you find the way to channel the royal spirit, and I will catch up with you next time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you soon, my dear.